What is your area of weakness?
To be honest, I have a very, very short temper. When my fuse blows, I shout, and ideally, if there's a cup of coffee handy, fling its contents at the person who angered me.
I procrastinate like crazy. I often put off things that I could do today to tomorrow, and sometimes wake up on the day of the deadline to do things right then and there, sometimes maybe even 2 days later. In fact, my mom tells me I was born 2 days overdue. That is an example of how not to answer the question.
So you get the gist. Honesty is not the best policy here. Your weakness should actually portray a strength, but subtly. Hello everyone, Paddy Rangappa here. Welcome to another installment of our podcast called Jest Business, in which Rahul Fontke and I make fun of ourselves in the business world.
I think we should move on to today's topic. In an earlier podcast, we talked about jargon and advised our viewers how to develop the complex but vital skill of using jargon at work. One, just to recap, use more of it when you have less to say or when you don't understand what you're saying. And you remember what was the next one?
Of course I remember.
Yeah.
It is to hide ignorance.
Correct. And to use, in both cases, inserting the word artificial intelligence, or if it's affectionate abbreviation, AI, liberally into their conversations or jargon-laden sentences.
Yeah.
But you can use only jargon once you're employed. But we want to give some advice on nailing the interview by navigating tricky questions.
Yes, exactly. And the reason we are going to take general questions, not technical questions, because technical questions are the listener's area of expertise.
Absolutely.
And two, because we have no clue. So we are going to cover non-technical, stupid interview questions that are also tricky.
I would rather say they are tricky because they are stupid. You know, these questions are like the Steve Carell's character, Michael Scott, in The Office. Annoyingly idiotic, but still must be faced with elegance.
Yes, that's true.
So today we are going to focus on this terrifically stupid interview questions. What is your area of weakness? Why would any interviewer ask that?
And that I can answer very easily, Rahul, is because other interviewers are using it. It's exactly the same reason how managers start using jargon. I mean, in school, they don't teach you how to use words like 30,000 view and hit the ground running,
synergy, boil ocean, yeah, absolutely.
Ideally in one sentence.
Correct.
How do you learn that? You learn that from another manager who used it before you. You are intelligent, you're smart, and you don't have originality. And that's exactly how some manager somewhere would have heard his boss perhaps ask the question, what is your area of weakness? They would have watched the interviewee, the candidate, kind of tremble and shake. Said, oh, this is a lovely question. I'm going to ask it too. I theorize that's the genesis of this highly stupid but very tricky question.
Okay, enough of the theoretical part, the whys and why fors. Let's jump right into it.
Yes.
And I think in order to create the right atmosphere, let me interview you, Paddy,
okay.
first.
Ready.
So, Mr. Rangappa, I like your record and I hear about your background and achievements, especially on stealing market share stealthily. Something that I always love to hear about.
Thank you.
But please tell me, what's your own area of weakness?
Okay, to be honest, I have a very, very short temper. And when my fuse blows, I shout, and ideally, if there's a cup of coffee handy, fling its contents at the person who angered me. Now, this is not the way to answer the question. I was giving you an example of how not to answer that question.
Okay.
Before we get to how to answer it, let's put Rahul also through the same interview question. And I will be the big boss now.
All right.
Mr. Fontke,
Yeah.
it's great to hear about your ability to do digital transformation at the drop of a hat and create IT infrastructure from scratch. But tell me, what is your one area of weakness?
So I always believe in overachieving my targets. So I'll give you two reasons. One is I procrastinate like crazy. I often put off things that I could do today to tomorrow, and sometimes wake up on the day of the deadline to do things right then and there, sometimes maybe even 2 days later. In fact, my mom tells me I was born 2 days overdue. And I'm able to do only one thing at a time. Now, which is a great asset to have. If you're an eye surgeon, not so great when you're in office. So that combined with my penchant for procrastination, gives me a lot of leisure time at home and at the office. Again, that's an example of how not to answer the questions.
So you get the gist. Honesty is not the best policy here. The answer about your weakness should actually portray a strength, but subtly. For example, don't outright go and say, I do a perfect job every time, because that may not come through as a flaw. Instead, you need to couch it like so. I'm too much of a perfectionist. Sometimes when I try to get things exactly right at 100% level, I may cause some frustration among my colleagues who are not similarly inclined.
Good one, Paddy. I really like this weakness. Can you just imagine how strong the organization would be if more and more people have such weakness? It is amazing.
Exactly.
But for our listeners, if you too like and want to use it, you must understand the nuances of the specific words that Paddy has just used. And then fashion your answer accordingly. Don't just memorize the sentence and, quote it verbatim. It will make you sound like a clueless wimp.
Yeah.
But you need to appear like a smart wimp. And to appear that, the answer should come out naturally as your own.
Yeah, and there's one more reason, Rahul. I'm always optimistic. Your manager also may be listening to this podcast.
Absolutely.
And they will know that you're just copy-pasting. So, learn the nuances, the principles behind it. And the first principle is here that I've used the word too much. I'm too much of a perfectionist. So, that's what makes it into a weakness. And then to cushion myself, I use the word sometimes and may. So I soften the blow, which is the objective. It should come through as a strength, but subtly.
And to ensure there's no danger of it being misconstrued as a deficiency, you don't say this could sometimes impede progress. No, you don't say that. You just coolly and mercilessly, throw your teammates under the bus.
Yeah, that's what they are there
by
for.
Making their reaction the result, by being oversensitive and imperfect, they may experience some angst due to my perfection.
And even on that item, for double insurance, you cover your base with may cause some frustration. Let's give them another example. Because the crazy interviewer may ask for 2 reasons. Or there are 2 interviewers and one has kind of daydreamed and missed that the colleague has already asked this question. So he throws it at you. So let me try another one for you, Rahul.
All right.
And I rather like the way I phrased the first one. So I'm going to just repeat it verbatim.
Okay.
Mr. Fonke, it's great to see your ability to transform things digitally at the drop of a hat and create IT infrastructure from scratch. But what is one area that you would call a weakness?
I would think it relates to my work ethic. I sometimes bite off much more than I can chew. And, then end up having to spend extra hours to finish all the projects. I signed up for, because I just can't help but do them flawlessly.
Wow. I love that.
Thank you.
And what I love about it is I took on quantity of work. You took on the other monster, quality. So between us, I think we've covered two excellent areas. And in one sentence, you managed to camouflage a terrific ability to multitask as a weakness. Excellent. This is exactly what is called a centipede move that you introduced to the audience last time. Well done.
So you can't tell whether he's being sarcastic or he's being genuine.
Exactly. Yeah. I must say, that was a really good jargon, good invention.
Thanks, Paddy. Very kind of you. Now, but getting back to the interview, I want to explain the nuances that our listeners get it right. I worded this to be my second weakness because, Paddy painted the picture of the jokers asking for 2 weaknesses or 2 jokers asking for 1 weakness each. But if you really like this answer and would like to promote it to be your first weakness, then you might want to bring the perfectionism that's missing. I actually wrote it down for you as well. So I sometimes bite off more than I can chew and end up having to spend extra hours to finish all the projects I have signed up for because I can't help them doing each one of them flawlessly. Because, I'm a perfectionist.
Very good, very good. And some more nuances here for the listeners, Rahul. The result was still 100% completion.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
And done flawlessly. So it builds on the first weakness of being too much of a perfectionist, which if you've not mentioned it first, you add it. Very good. And most important, you've said sometimes. This gives you a soft landing and the ability to backtrack if pressed. Let's try that. Let's try this backtracking that might be required. I'm the interviewer, by the way. That's not me saying in my own voice. That's the interviewer.
Okay.
Mr. Fontke, our terrific corporate culture here has a very strong emphasis on work-life balance. Our employees balance work and other stuff like crazy. So I wonder if you will be a cultural fit with your amazing work ethic.
I think actually you make a very good point. So it happened once in 2014 or maybe sometime after that. It was a project very close to my heart. And I myself realized that I might have overdone things and, I needed more balance in my life. So at least I have been super careful ever since and balancing my work and life like crazy by really controlling my urge to overwork whenever it arises.
So you're a balancer too now.
Absolutely. So you can see in the examples from Paddy and the one that I replied for, that the show off is a strength, but you have to couch it like a weakness. So using qualifiers like once, might, sometimes, and expressing some fictional regret, makes you sound like a sincere human and not like an obsessive psycho who has conversations with his shoes before he goes to bed every night with his pet knife.
Well said. But Rahul, I think we must add that many of the listeners may be thinking that this is not good advice and that they should go forth and tell the truth about their weakness. No, don't do that.
No.
Because you may get points for honesty, but you know how they will be delivered to you? In the same envelope as your rejection slip.
Absolutely.
You need to answer the question in the least harmful way to you as possible. Now, if you don't believe me, we're going to enact another role to show you that this is normal in corporations. So here's a reverse scenario where we turn the tables, and as part of the interview process, I'll be the interviewer and I'm going to invite questions, and Rahul is going to pose such a question to me. So, Mr. Fontke, do you have any questions for me?
I do actually. What's your one flaw as a leader?
Oh, wonderful question, Mr. Fontke. I've thought about that a lot and I know what it is. Sometimes I carry my passion for my people too far, getting so involved in their successes and failures and getting so affected about how they're doing that the buzz, that goes around the office, what it is, Mr. Fontke? That Paddy is too people-oriented.
That's really mind-boggling. Paddy, I can't wait for my flaws to be defended by you in such a manner. I deliberately gave that reaction to show how you can throw in some cringy sucker-ping in your reaction.
Well done.
Just like that off-the-cuff casual. Now scenario 2B, I'm the interviewer. And my question is, Mr. Rangappa, it's been great talking with you. Do you have any questions about our great company?
I sure do. Now, as a textile company that makes and sells its products across the globe, what is the worst consumer complaint that you have got?
Terrific question. And a tough one as well. But I have the answer for you, Mr. Rangappa. Customers often tell us our quality is so good, so excellent, that they have trouble throwing away the old goods and come back to shop for more.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. I can't wait to join your company and contribute to such customer complaints. See again, just like that, some suck up thrown in gratis. So, coming back to the point, when the manager is going to answer about his question, about his company and his own strengths, weaknesses in that manner, go forth. Our listeners should also relate their weakness as a strength with style and without any embarrassment.
Absolutely.
So Rahul, with that, should we wrap things up?
Oh, yes, I think we should. So, future we'll cover other stupid interview questions and how to answer them as well. For example, how do you ensure projects are done within time, budget, and scope? Which is a hoot. Everyone knows IT projects are never meant to go live. There are companies out there still trying to discuss the new go-live dates for their Y2K compliance projects. Or, Paddy, any examples from marketing?
Yeah, from marketing, a famous one is the interviewer suddenly hands you their pen and says, sell it to me. Or, if you go out of the realm of specific technical questions, a more general one, which a lot of interviewers ask, where do you see yourself 5 and 10 years from now?
Absolutely. There are more, why should we hire you?
Yes.
Or give me an example where you demonstrated out-of-the-box thinking. All that in the future and more. But viewers, you can write in to justbusinesspodcast@gmail.com with your examples of stupid questions, and we'll be happy to take them.
Why are we doing this? I can give you 2 reasons. 1, there's so much material. And 2, it's just fun to do. Rahul, can you think of any other reason?
Sorry, Patty, can you repeat that? I think the line was pretty bad.
Sorry, I'm sitting right here next to you. What line would you be talking about, Rahul? Just to get this straight.
Sorry. That was my muscle memory kicking in from too many telecons. But I think you asked me.
I think
Yeah.
you were daydreaming, Rahul. And that's okay to daydream when it's somebody else's podcast. But I think when it's our own podcast, we should refrain from daydreaming.
Well, I just hope we don't have the effect on viewers that you had on me. But I think, Patty, what you were trying to ask me is if I had any more reasons to add. Or at least that's what the script says. And I think the one big reason, as a great man had once said, that people love to hear about the absurdities of business.
Wow. I'm not sure if a great man said that, but you said it, and that's good enough for me. And I really think it's the best reason, Rahul. You know why I think it's the best reason?
Mm-hmm.
Because you and I may find it fun to talk about a topic like, say, the workings of an internal combustion engine. I know. Not really, but just hypothetically, we might.
Fair enough, yeah.
And there might also be a lot of material on it.
Mm-hmm.
But if our listeners don't find it fun to listen to it, what's the point?
Fair enough.
And on this, I can say with reasonable certainty that people want to listen to fun and humor in business. Because you know the Economist, right? And they publish articles on politics, science, business, all serious stuff of great gravity. But among all their stuff that they write about, do you know what the most popular piece of writing they have?
No idea.
It's called the Bartleby column, in which the magazine pokes fun at business. So there's definitely people want to listen to the stuff.
That's actually quite amazing, Patty. I never knew you could read.
I know I can.
But just one thing to track it back. How do you know that that's the most popular column? Do you kind of lurk in dentist waiting rooms trying to spy on people what they're reading? Very time consuming, no?
Time consuming, and no. When I'm on my dentist waiting room, I have many more painful things to think about. And the guy does not keep The Economist anyway. No, I know this because somebody who works at The Economist told me that.
You know someone who writes for The Economist. I hope he uses both hands. Because no economist that I know has ever made a statement without using the phrase, on the other hand. That's all right. All from me, Rahul Phonke, your host for Jest Business Podcast. Patty, over to you.
Yes, I think please write in with your examples of stupid interview questions to justbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. But please also tell us how you answer them, because we may not be that good at figuring out the exact correct answer to give.
Absolutely. With that, good night and see you for the next one.
Bye-bye.